Recently, Sigma had a very interesting announcement, and that is the development of the 28 to 105 f2.8, and that's the constant f2.8 aperture throughout the range. So unlike this Sony 24 to 105 lens, and then by the way, this is an f4 image stabilized lens. I did make a video on this. Now the Sigma lens is going to be a completely different lens compared to something like this because of the aperture alone, but you do lose 4 millimeters on the wide end compared to the 24 to 105. I would say that the Sigma lens would probably be better compared with the Canon 24 to 105 f2.8 LIS lens, but obviously I don't have that. Now, if you're familiar with the Sigma DG HSM lenses, I do have two of their primes, and that is the 24 1.4 and the 85 1.4. And the new 28 to 105 f2.8 lens will sit between these two in terms of weight. But going back to the focal length question, will you miss that extra 4 millimeters being limited at 28 millimeters on the wide end? Let's find out. On the full frame Sony a7 III camera that you're currently watching through, we're gonna swap that lens out with the Sony 24 to 105 lens that I've been talking about, and we're gonna compare the differences between the 24 and the 28 millimeter focal length. So let's look at some examples. All right, we have the 24 to 105 lens on the a7 III. We got the stool that's pretty close to the camera. So I'm gonna sit down over here and try to maintain the same position between the 24 and the 28 millimeter focal lengths. We have the 24 millimeter setting on the lens right now. This is what it looks like. And then now I'm going to try to bump this out to 28. Unfortunately, there's no markings on the lens for that. So we'll estimate and boom, maybe that's a little bit too far. That is about 28 millimeters, and I'll show you before and after. But we'll have a little bit more accurate pictures in the upcoming shots because we'll be basing the shots off of the metadata that's embedded in the picture so we can see the exact focal length that the camera is reading. Our next subject is from Texas, and that is the Beaver from Buc-ee's. In our recent trip to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we decided to pick him up, and he's been volunteered to be in the next test, so let's go check it out. This is an example of a subject that's closer to the camera lens, first with 24 millimeters, and then now at 28. Last but not least, I want to demo the differences between the two focal lengths in a tighter space, such as in the back of a car shooting forward. With the first picture, again, we have the 24 millimeter focal length. In the second picture, we have 28. And very quickly, I just want to make a note right here that I could have sat back a little bit more in the 28 millimeter setting, but that would have given me a different perspective. So for example, if we had subjects in the seats and we didn't have the ability to fold the seats down in the front, we would have a different perspective from the 28 compared to the 24. Technically, although not a whole lot of difference there. To me, something that is quote unquote significant enough to really notice a perspective change is probably a jump from 24 to 35, for example, or even 50 millimeters. But to be fair, sometimes even at 24, there are a couple of times where I wish I had a wider lens, but your mileage may vary. And with that being said, if you're dealing with an ultra wide zoom lens, the difference between 4 millimeters is much more significant there. And there's a LensRentals.com article that talks about this, and that page has a nice visual. Are you really concerned about that 28 millimeter limit on the wide end for the 28 to 105 f2.8 lens? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as always, and I'll see you in the next video.